Okay, this is gonna be a super quick video because we talked about solving equations about square and cube rooting, but we're just going to apply that to some area and volume questions. Um, so area, we're specifically talking about area of a square. Hopefully remember that area of a rectangle is length times width. So if we have a square, what happens is the length and width are actually the same, and we'll usually call it S. So area of a square is going to be S squared. Okay. When we have a cube, a rectangular prism is really length times width times height. And in a cube, all those are the same. Okay. Make my cube look a little bit better there. And in this case, when we're talking about volume, which is how much space is inside of that cube box, it would be S times S times S, or just volume equals S cubed. So we're going to be looking at some questions about area and volume. And essentially, in order to solve them, we're going to either need to square root it or cube root it, depending on the question. So it says Sean cuts one sheet of colorful poster paper to cover the bulletin board exactly. What are the dimensions of the poster paper that will cover the board exactly? And it does appear to be a square. I kind of wish that they told us it was a square. We don't usually like to assume things. But I'm going to say, let's assume it's a square. I put those little tick marks. Those tick marks, if you ever see them, just mean that those sides are congruent. They're equal to each other. Okay. So the area we know is 144. So if area equals S squared, we can kind of stick that area in, okay, where the A is. So area is 144. And we don't know the side, and that's what we're trying to figure out. So 144 equals S squared is the technical equation we're solving. And then we would square root both sides, and S would be 12. Now, we did say in the other video that we're going to make sure we include the positive or negative, but there's a catch to that. When we're dealing with real life scenarios like this, where we're talking about measurements of something, we can't actually have a negative side. Okay, so in this case, okay, we are not going to include the negatives here, but only for those real life scenarios. Okay, so I'm just gonna leave it as 12. Our unit was inches squared originally, which now means in one dimension, it's just going to be inches. So our final answer here is 12 inches. Do you have to set up this equation like this to solve it? Absolutely not. If you kind of just know what to do with your numbers, that is fine. But I just want to show why this works as we do it. Oops, too far. The next one is a cube. Okay, and we said volume equals S to the third, S cubed. That's where the cube comes from. Okay, but we know the volume is 216. So we're going to say 216 equals S to the third. And then from there, we could cube root both sides, which means when we cube root that, we would get S equal to 6. Okay, and since S is a side, those are only measured in inches, not inches cubed. So our final answer there is 6 inches. Okay, next one, we have a cube-shaped art sculpture has a volume of 64 cubic feet. So we don't have a picture here, but we know if volume is S cubed, that it's 64 equals S cubed. And we want the length of each edge. The edge in a cube, okay, is like this right here. One of those pieces, okay, which we know is the side, okay? And we will cube root both sides, and S has to be 4. And so it is going to be 4, it was cubic feet, so our final answer is 4 feet. And the last one, we have a tablecloth to cover a square card table, okay? The area is 9 feet, so we have area is side squared, but we know the area is 9, so 9 equals S squared. We will square root both sides and get S equals just the positive 3 here, not positive and negative, because we're dealing with an actual table, which means that each side of this is going to be 3 feet. And usually when you say dimensions, usually talk about the length and the width. Okay, so I guess we're really just going here, like, it's gonna be a 3 foot by 3 foot tablecloth. Okay, 3 feet on each side. Okay. Beware of questions where maybe you need to figure out the side, but then they start talking about perimeter, okay, or buying fencing of something to enclose something in. So it's not always necessarily going to stop at this point. You may have to do something extra with that question, but that is how you solve these questions about our area and volume.